Today's daf is daf nun zayin, and we're up to mimai. The Gemara wants to ask the following. According to the Amoraim, which we learned on the bottom of page Nun Vav Amud Beis, that's Rabbi Elazar in the name of Rabbi Yoshia, the Tanoim, Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon, would definitely hold that if a Kohen who was a P'tua Daka was married to a Bas Yisrael, a Mureses Lo, then she would be allowed to eat Truma. So the Gemara says, "Mimai Dilma Adkan Lo Kami Rebbe Elazar Rebbe Shimon Hasam." When are they makil? In our Mishnah, they allow the Kohen to be machil Truma to his harusa. El mishum she de ein lo lahachil b'makom acher. If the Kohen would marry a woman who was not asura olav, he could be machil her the true. Aval hacha b'kohen p'tzua daka, the ein lo lahachil b'makom acher. The p'tzua daka is mufka from truma. He cannot be machil anyone, and any woman, because any woman in the world is asura olav. That puts him into a separate category. It's not like an almana with a kohen gadol. He could have married. The almana was also, but he could have married a woman who was not an almana, or the grusha was asura, but the kohen could have married another. The kohen himself is in the parsha in a conceptual, in a theoretical sense of being machil truma, but in the case of P'tua Daka, he can't be machil truma. He's not allowed to marry anyone. He's sul kol, lo. So it's quite possible that even Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon would concede here in the case of a P'tua Daka that he cannot be machil truma in the case of an arusa, even though there was no nesuin yet and she didn't become a chalol. And if you'll suggest that hachanami yesh lo lahachil b'bas gerim, maybe what Rav Oshi was saying is that kahal gerim lo nikra kol, and a kohen P'tua Daka is allowed to marry a bas gerim. So he's marrying her beheter, and therefore he could be machal b'truma. Therefore, kohen P'tua Daka could be machal b'truma, even arusaso was a bas Yisrael, because he's considered in the parsha. He could marry a girl beheter, and that makes him equal to the case of almana l'kohen gadol and grusha l'kohen hedja. So Gemara rejects this for mi boy boyle Rabbi Yochanan mi Rabbi Yoshia v'lo pashitle. On this very point, regarding a kohen P'tua Daka who marries a baskerim, whether or not he can be machel had the truma, that was the suffix that Rabbi Yochanan addressed to Rabbi Oshia v'lo pashitle, and Rabbi Oshia had no answer to that question, meaning Rabbi Oshia was left with a suffix. And therefore, Rabbi Oshia was wondering whether or not it's possible that the P'tua Daka might not be able to be machel even his bas gerim b'truma. So therefore, how again would Rabbi Oshia know that a kohen P'tua Daka who married a Yisraelis with Erisin, according to Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon, she would be allowed to eat truma? We don't find that the P'tua Daka has the ability, the koch, to be machel truma in any other marriage situation, any scenario, because Rabbi Oshia had this suffix, which was raised originally by Rabbi Yochanan about a P'tua Daka, whether he can machel b'truma if he marries a baskerim. So the Gemara answers Itmar. Abai Omar Hoil Machila below Yeda'a. Let's say that the Kohen married a woman, a Bas Yisrael, before he became a P'tua Daka, and then he became a P'tua Daka after the marriage. in such a case, after he's become a P'tuadaka, he could not marry a woman and be machil her truma. In fact, he would passel her bibia because of the nature of the Easter of P'tuadaka. So certainly she couldn't eat truma. Oh. So we're not going to say that when the Kohen became a P'tuadaka, he's mafkia her achilas truma. Again, she hasn't had beer with him. It's after Erisin. She's not a chalola. Rava Omar, Rava says that Rav Oshia holds that according to Rav Elazar, Rav Shimon comes to a daka who is Makadish Abbas Yisrael Ochelz B'Truma Hoel Umachila Ba'avodav Ushvechosov Haknanim. We found that a Kohen Gadol, Kohen P'tuadaka can be machil truma. How so? Not necessarily if he marries a bas gerim, because on that point Rav Oshia vacillated, and not the way Abaye, and we'll try to figure out why Rava rejects Abaye, said it that he became a P'tuadaka subsequent to the Erisin, but because he can right now be machil truma to Avodov V'shivchos of Aknanim. They are considered Kinyan Kaspo. And even though he's a P'tuadaka, he can machil Avodov V'shivchos of Aknanim b'truma. And Rabbi Oshia holds that according to Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon, if a Kohen P'tuadaka was Makadish Abbas Yisrael, he can be machil HaTruma. Because there's a possibility for him to be machil Truma to his Avodim, etc. Abaye lo amar Rava. Abaye said that the analogy of Rava Kinyan, the Ishus Mikinyan, the Ishus Yalfina v'lo Yalfina Kinyan, the Ishus Mikinyan Avodim. There's no fair analogy to Kinyan Avodim. Kinyan Avodim is a separate Kinyan Isa. And we're talking about Kinyan Ishus. Rava lo amar Abaye. Rava rejected the answer of Abaye. Shani Hasam Shekvar Ochla. In other words, you can't bring a raya from a case of a Kohen who, after the Kiddushin, became a P'tuadaka and she can continue to eat Truma, because that's halach of Kvar Ochla. She already had started and had rights to eat Truma when he was healthy, before he became a P'tuadaka. And therefore, she continues to eat truma even after he became a P'tuadaka. But we don't find that he has a call to be machil truma after he became a P'tuadaka. In a case where somebody didn't have the halachic license to eat truma before the marriage, and therefore Rava brings the right from Avodah V'Shivchos V'Aknanim, because if he'll be Kona, an Eved, or a Shivcha, after he became a P'tuadaka, he could still be machil truma. Now the Gemara asks the flip case. But Abaye, according to Abaye, what does he say to answer the Taina of Rava? Shekvar ochla lo amrina. We're not going to say that since, because she already started eating truma, therefore she can continue to eat truma even if he doesn't have a call to be machil her the truma now. And therefore, if we find that she continues to eat truma even after he became a P'tuadaka, it's because it's as if we found a P'tuadaka that has a koch to be machel b'truma b'makom acher. So that according to Abaye, that's basically all we need to know. All we need to establish is that she can be mamshich to eat truma even after he became a P'tuadaka. That's considered as if the Kohen Gadol was machil her the truma. I'm sorry, I said Kohen Gadol again. The P'tuadaka, the Kohen P'tuadaka is machil her the truma. So we found that he's not mufka. He can be machil her truma because according to Abaye, it's an ongoing hachalas truma. Ilo tema hachi bas yisrael shenisis the Kohen umis. Teichel shekvar ochla. Are you going to tell me that a Bas Yisrael got married to a Kohen and then he died? She continues to eat truma because we don't have the ability to be mafkia her eating truma? That's not so. We never found such a thing. If now he doesn't have a koch the Baal to be machala the truma, then she cannot continue eating truma. The Rava, and Rava responds to this very profound attack of Abaye. Hasam, there in the case of a Bas Yisrael that's married to a Kohen, and the Kohen died, is Paka Kinyane. It's Paka Mimenu Kinyana Shal Kohen. She's not an Ashes Kohen. She cannot continue to eat true. But Hacha, here in the case of Ashes Kohen Bari, he was healthy at the time of the marriage. Then he became to a Daka. Subsequently, Lo Paka Kinyana. The Kinyan of the Kohen was not undermined. And the status as Kinyan Kaspo still remains Roy Lechel B'Truma. And that's why Rava rejected Abaye, because even if we found that a Kohen who became a P'tsuadaka, his wife continues to eat Truma, but we cannot derive any conclusions from that to a case of P'tsuadaka who now is Makadish and Isha, and she's Arusaso, and determined that she could eat truma.